Internet person, my name is Mattie, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a look inside of all of my language notebooks that I managed to dig up for this video. This probably isn't every language notebook I've ever had, but because I've been studying Spanish since around 8th grade, I have definitely thrown out some of those notebooks since then. But these are the ones I've managed to keep. So I'll be showing you guys my notebooks for Spanish, Korean, and Japanese. And I really like watching these videos on YouTube because for me, it's fun to see how people's notes kind of evolve over time and also how they improve in the languages. So I also find that motivating. So hopefully it can be the same for you guys. You'll definitely see the evolution of my notes as we go throughout this, and it's pretty fun for me to see too. I'm going to be starting with the Spanish 2 notebook because I believe it's the oldest one that I have on hand. So I studied Spanish for 3 years. In school I took it in 8th grade, 9th grade, and 10th grade. I'm currently in 11th grade. I'm a junior in high school, and I have fulfilled all of my foreign language requirements, so I will not be taking another Spanish class. To be completely honest with you, at the time of really taking all those Spanish courses, I hadn't quite unlocked my love for language learning yet, and it was honestly a class I just really dreaded. It took up a lot of my time, and I didn't really enjoy it, and I didn't feel like I was really learning useful conversational things. So in the future, I really want to go back and study Spanish on my own in a similar style that I've studied Korean, because I found myself to be much more successful in a self-study environment. This probably starts at sometime in September maybe of 2016, and at this point I was studying Korean, but it still wasn't something I was taking super seriously. Therefore, I hadn't really discovered, you know, the things in language learning that really made me excited and what the best study methods were. So I was just kind of going blind here and writing in really bad handwriting. Here, as you can see, I started to get lazy and I just pasted in the vocabulary sheets they'd send out to us. Oops. So I stopped even taking notes. I was like, nah, I'll just highlight the stuff and then glue it in, which, you know, is probably not the best for my memory's sake. But the good news is when I go to study Spanish in the future, I have like a ton of resources already. So I won't really need to buy books or anything because I've saved so much from my classes. Here my notes are a little less sloppy. I was trying to review some grammar and stuff. And then here I have my semester 1 final exam review. And then, as you see, after this, I just stopped. I just literally did not take notes for the rest of the school year. Yeah, I guess I never found note-taking in Spanish, or at least my method of it, useful, which is probably why I stopped. Now, this is not technically a notebook, it's a binder, but I have a lot of stuff in Spanish. I have a lot of Spanish stuff in here as well, so I was just going to mention it really quick. So I collected all of my vocabulary sheets from the school year over all different kinds of various topics, so that's going to be really useful in the future. I have vocabulary foldables here, and then I have all of this grammar. All of this grammar sheets. This is a lot. And I also have some like conjugation foldables here, and even some Spanish reading practices. So yet again, like I said before, once I decide to go back and study Spanish for real, I will be all set when it comes to resources. Next, we will talk about my Korean notebook, which is the second oldest language learning notebook I could find. So this starts in July of 2016 when I very first decided, hey, I'm gonna learn Korean. This was a recycled notebook. It started as Spanish 1 and then algebra, and then I was like, nah, I'll make it Korean studies. So as you can see, at the time, Korean was just kind of something. I was just, you know, like, oh, I'm curious about this, but I didn't really think it was gonna go that far. So here on July 22nd, I started learning the basics of Hangul, and as you can tell, my handwriting's terrible and it's huge. For some reason, I found it impossible to write the characters smaller than that. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact I didn't learn proper stroke order from the beginning. And I do want to stress stroke order to you guys if you are learning Korean. It may not seem like it's important, but it is. It has everything to do with making your handwriting look better and to just properly write the characters to begin with. So if you don't know anything about stroke order in learning Korean, I recommend that you look into it. So here you can see I started studying with how to study Korean. This was only 3 days after I finished learning Hangul. And I don't really recommend this site because I think that it can be a little bit confusing, but it does offer, you know, a pretty good grammar foundation for very beginners. If you're just wanting to get a basic idea of how grammar works, you know. So as you can see, this is a very disorganized, my handwriting is so bad type of language notebook. I wasn't putting any effort into making it look pretty or anything, and I think part of that is again, I wasn't really taking Korean all that serious at the beginning, and also I didn't know how to organize my study. But here on August 9th is when I started studying from Korean Made Simple, which I tell you guys made all the difference in learning Korean for me. Without it, I do not think I would be this far along. It is the best textbook I have used, and I've used a lot. So if you're learning Korean and you haven't looked into Korean Made Simple, you definitely should. I will leave a link to it on Amazon below. Not sponsored, I just really like it. Grammar and basic vocabulary, but my notes are still very, very ugly. And this is the end of that notebook. I just have some random piano chords there. I was almost to the end, so I just kind of stopped, which brings me to this one. Korean Studies Part 2. It's the same color and everything. So this notebook starts on September 5th, 2016, which is about a year ago on the day I'm filming this actually. And I was just thinking of like, okay, random words that I wanted to learn. And my study was like just crazy unorganized. I was just learning from random YouTube videos and just websites online, which, you know, isn't necessarily bad, but it's really not the most efficient way. And when my study was that unorganized, I remember being kind of stressed about it because I was really wanting to learn, but I couldn't figure out how to structure it since I wasn't taking a course. So, you know, it was all up to me to learn by myself. So as you can see here, I'm still working through Korean Made Simple, and my notes are still ugly, and I'm doing practice sections and stuff too. Oh, I'm so sorry if the angle's weird. But I was diligently studying grammar, so, you know, gotta pat myself on the back for that. I was studying grammar pretty often, pretty consistently. So I was getting a really good foundation there, which is great, benefited me to this day. And then I just stopped using this notebook. So after I stopped using this, I moved into this, which is, you know, the language binder I showed before, but I didn't show the first section. So after really discovering StudyTube, I got inspired to try to make my notes look a little bit more organized because how ugly my notes were was starting to drive me crazy, and I hated studying from it. So this little packet here just has some basic grammar stuff in it that I used to have to refer to quite often, but now it's stuff that I just naturally know very well because I've used it so much, if that makes sense. So here are when my good notes start. Now, to me, these are 1,000 times better than my other ones. Maybe too, guys, these are still ugly, I don't know. But I'm proud of myself for these because I did put a lot more time into these. Sometimes I would even recopy notes 2 times just to make it look better. And I did find I like to study from these more. So this was on February 22nd of 2017. So I was studying some Mattie here, which is like sound change rules. And then I jumped back into Korean Made Simple, as you can see. So I was just doing this on like loose, wide ruled notebook paper, which I do really like doing it this way, better than using a spiral for some reason. I just feel like I couldn't make them pretty in a spiral because of the way it bleeds on the back, you know? I don't know, I just all of a sudden decided that I hated spirals, so I started doing it this way, and I felt that it was easier to just remove a page or 2 at a time and study from it, and I could reorder the stuff. I don't know, it made sense in my head at the time. This one's ugly, I guess I was just trying to hurry up and get done. To give you some time frames here, we're already on June 1st of 2017, and we're nearing the end of Korean Made Simple. I mean, here's chapter 9, and then chapter 19, sorry, then chapter 20, and that's the end of that book. So this is just extra notebook paper. Here I have a bunch of practice sections and stuff that I did. Here are just some general vocabulary lists based on different like everyday topics. I remember being really sick one weekend and wanting to be productive, so I just went through my textbooks and gathered vocabulary to organize it out. Here I have some reading practices, talk to me in Korean dialogues, K-pop lyrics, as you can see. And then I have some talk to me in Korean level 2 PDFs. I just printed some off so that way when I get around to them, they're already ready to go. And then here I just have the one tiny sheet of Chinese notes that I have when I studied a little bit of Chinese over the summer. So then it just brings you back into the Spanish section. But this binder, man, has so much knowledge in it. Okay, so moving on, other Korean notebooks. I have this Korean grammar notebook. It was supposed to be used for grammar, but like I ended up just using it to do practice sections from integrated Korean in. So if you haven't noticed, my Korean handwriting's gotten seriously way better since I first started. But I'm going to continue using this as just a notebook for practice or quick notes. So this is like an example of a rough draft of notes I might do, and then I'll recopy it and make it prettier to put into the other binder practice sections. This was actually July 28th, wasn't that long ago. So yeah, that's what this notebook's going to be for. I have two small vocabulary books I'll show, and then I'll talk about the current notebooks I'm using. So this is just like a quick vocabulary book thing. I just wrote down words I wanted to know, and yeah, I didn't really do much else with that. And then this only has like 2 vocabulary lists in it. Yeah, I don't know, they're kind of pointless. This is the Korean notebook I'm currently using. It's a composition book and it's pretty ratchet, if you can't tell. So it just started as a place for me to collect lists of vocabulary words in a more, I guess, just not necessarily efficient, but like a more organized way. So I have like vocab from the K-drama Healer, from Cheese in the Trap. This is just from random places. As you can see, this was from Talk to Me in Korean Iyagi. Just lots and lots. Here, just a few weeks ago, on August 21st, I did a language binder distillation where I went through all my notes and wrote down the concepts that I still wasn't clear on. So I have a few pages of that, which I was pleased that this was all that came out of all those chapters that I couldn't remember. So that was good. Another vocabulary list, just random Korean scribbles there. And then I did this really recent, this was just this past Saturday. I did some studying from integrated Korean, and this is about how I'm taking notes. Now I'm going back to the composition journal style. Maybe I'll go back to the loose paper style eventually, I don't know. I do like this form of notes because it's simple, but it's not super ugly. You know, it has enough color and I don't have to spend forever trying to make it look attractive. Like, I would go study this, it's organized enough. So that's how I plan to continue to go. Yeah, for some reason I just really like composition books now. Now for the last one, this is my Japanese one, another super duper recycled composition book. Japanese is something I'm low-key studying because I'm not taking it super seriously, but like I'm also curious and eventually I'll probably take it seriously. So this notebook, I just kind of wanted to get some basic groundwork done, you know what I mean? So here I just have hiragana, and I misspelled hiragana, so I already failed. And my characters are terrible because I wasn't using proper stroke order. Can't stress proper stroke order enough to you people. But yeah, so I just did all that. Here is some overview to the writing system that I took from Tae Kim's Guide to Japanese Grammar, which is just an app that I downloaded that had a lot of grammar stuff for free. I just wanted this to give me an overview of like, okay, the differences between the 3 alphabets and what they're used for. So you know, you have kanji, hiragana, and katakana, and I was already pretty firm on what each of them were for, but I wanted to be sure, so I took some notes. I took some notes specifically about hiragana, then about katakana. Kanji I'll be doing next, and then here I just have this reference sheet of hiragana and katakana. all of them. And I've really just been using Duolingo and Drops to learn hiragana at the moment. So it's kind of a slow process. I'm only putting in like 15 minutes a day. But because my Korean study takes up so much time and I'm doing full-time schoolwork, I don't really have much else time for Japanese. So I'm gonna keep studying it here and there throughout the school year, and maybe this summer I'll go hardcore on it or something. I don't know. I'm not stressing myself out over it. It's just kind of for fun right now. Sorry this video was kind of long and rambly, but some of you like these kind of videos, so I guess that's good. Comment down below if you have requests for Language Wednesday videos, because I'm really willing to take requests on this series on my channel. I kind of want it to be like an open dialogue between me and you guys with language learning, so whatever you're curious about or you want to hear me talk about, let me know in the comments and I'll definitely consider it. Let me know in the comments as well if you guys keep language notebooks, or do you like to do binders? What's your favorite way to organize? How many do you have? I'm curious.